Hey there, welcome back to Tennille Talks. This reading is about a reversal of fortune. To begin, we'll talk about plants. So unlike most plants, the ghost plant does not produce chlorophyll, so it cannot create its own food from sunlight. Ghost plants grow by forming a parasitic relationship with the type of fungus that is connected to the roots of trees. So essentially, ghost plants steal nutrients from the tree through the fungus instead of photosynthesizing on its own. This is what allows it to thrive in the dark, where sunlight is limited because it lacks chlorophyll. Now, ghost plants, how can we compare this? To be a divine being, to be a light keeper, to be a chosen one, is to literally be born with a halo, meaning from the moment you step foot on earth, the moment you take your first breath, the moment your existence is solidified, it is in that moment that your halo can be seen, sensed, perceived. Yes, and so imagine that since beginning of times, we can go back to the Greco-Roman era, right? Think about what it meant to be an orphan. Think about the harsh reality of orphans. During the rise of Rome and Greece, orphans a lot of time were left in public places to die. The type of attitude that society had about orphans, it was really negative. Now, to be born with a halo is essentially to be orphaned. This is not energetically a planet that matches your frequency, right? And so to be born with a halo means that your frequency, your gifts, your abilities, your senses, everything is heightened, right? You have a level of awareness that allows you to perceive things beyond the veil. And so you're living in this physical world, but your gifts, your halo, is what allows you the ability to communicate and to exist almost in two worlds at one time. So your halo is your portal. Your light is your portal. Your light is your key. It is your energy. It is your frequency. It is what allows you to cross between the worlds. Yes? Now, to be a baby, your discipleship has already began, even if you don't understand, even if you don't know what it is. To be a disciple, it means that in your life, obedience is required. Works are required. What are works? They are practical acts of love that meet people's needs, right? It is a form of duty, but it is a service that reassures. It puts people not back together, but the idea of your discipleship and your walk is to really help people when they feel that they are broken or their path is broken. The way you live your life and the way you minister about your life is a form of discipleship, right? It is a method of service. Now, your halo already has pegged you as a disciple. Your halo has already said that you are going to be great. You are going to be great in the works that you deliver to others in need. To have a halo on earth is essentially to be walking in judgment. When we're talking about judgment, I mean the moment somebody can sense that you can operate between the worlds. Judgment is a matter of assuming. Judgment is a matter of looking at someone, looking at their appearance, and then putting them in a category, right? Judgment is when you hear something, but maybe you didn't experience firsthand, but because you've heard hearsay, you will judge based on that information. Whenever a disciple, whenever a light keeper or a divine one is judged, it has a tendency to make you question. You question your beliefs, your intelligence, your character. You question your decisions, right? And you question your preferences, like you often think that everything about you directly correlates to shame. It's almost like you feel ashamed, but you don't recognize that you are born with a halo. You are born with light. You are a tree with roots in a dark world. You are in a world full of ghost plants. Ghost plants are dark entities, dark attachments, or humans with low vibrations and low frequencies, which allows them to essentially live in the dark and exist in the dark. They do not have the ability to transmute the light of their halo into something physically tangible, right? And so as a light keeper, your halo allows you to pull down spiritual gifts, abilities, or assets from one realm into the next. It's like your halo is your cheat code. But the ghost plants who don't have the ability to eat the light and live and thrive attach themselves to the fungus. The fungus is on the roots of trees. So let's imagine that halos, light keepers, divine ones, chosen ones, your trees. But your roots, as above so below, when your roots are in the ground, those roots are really in another world. Those roots are tapped into your intuition. Those roots are tapped into your bloodline, your inheritance, your genealogy. And so the ghost plant is obviously looking for the roots that have the most light, the most nutrients. They're looking for the most food. Ghost plants are any people that attempt to attach to you because they recognize that you have a halo. Now, after so much time of ghost plants being attached to you and feeding off of you, it is a parasitic relationship. The only way the ghost plant can live is if you continue to thrive, is if you are who and what you are, if you have the ability to eat light and make it food, if you can eat light and create beautiful things. This is what the ghost plant is after. And so to be born with a halo, there's no way to hide. You will always be seen and sensed. It is impossible. But one of the things is that the judgment in childhood, before you understand that you are walking around in a halo, the judgment that you experience in childhood is supposed to send you to imprisonment. It is supposed to make you feel persecuted. It is supposed to make you feel set apart. Although you have this halo, although you have this fortune attached to your life, in a world of ghost plants, parasitic relationships just want to feed off of you. So you using your light for your own discipleship, you using your light to complete your own works, is the exact thing that is attacked. That is the exact thing that is attempting to be stopped. And so the ghost plant's job is to eat and eat and eat and eat and feed on you. Feed on your energy, feed on your vibration, feed on your frequency. Yes? And so essentially it is stealing the nutrients by way of your roots. But the ghost plant is not attached to the tree or the roots itself. It is attached to the fungus. And so the fungus that light keepers, the fungus that chosen ones have on them, that pulls the ghost plant toward them to feed, that fungus is a frequency. That frequency was created in your childhood when you were judged for being different, when you questioned everything about yourself, and essentially you started to just feel ashamed for being you. If I could be anything but me, right? And that is the goal of the imprisonment and the persecution. It is to never get you to understand that you are walking around in a halo. And so imagine that the Most High has set you here full of divine fruits, patience and love and kindness, right? Imagine that you are full of divine fruits, fruits of the Spirit. But in your childhood, the devil, the adversary, the enemy is working to trade your fruits, right? And so they want to trade your patience to impatience. They want to change your kindness to indifference, right? And so your love is changed to hate. And so all of the qualities that reveal that you actually have a halo, those are the character traits that are attacked, to the point where you are ashamed to exist as yourself. You're ashamed to be you. You're essentially orphaned from society. If you've ever felt like a sense of abandonment in your current life, right? If you have a fear, or if you feel like your material, your emotional, or the needs of your protection, your love, your support, if none of that was provided for you, if you had to live a life without, listen, you can grow up in the same family with the same siblings and same parents and still be an orphan. When I'm talking about being orphan, yes, there are actual light keepers that were without a stable home. They were without a mom and dad. They didn't have consistent living, right? And so there are life keepers that were actual orphans, and so in order to understand their halo, they first had to deal with the rejection, right? So to be rejected, to be unwanted, to go from home to home to home, family to family, to experience abuse. I mean, do you ever really get a chance to recognize your value? No, there's always going to be shame and grief and regret and remorse, because you will continue the fact that you've been orphaned to the value that you lack or to the worth that you lack. And so even being in the same family from beginning to end, if that family has judged you or persecuted you or psychically imprisoned you inside of your own mind because you feel so ashamed or you question your own existence, then you too are an orphan, right? And so isolation, imprisonment, judgment, and persecution, that is a systematic program that is done in the childhood of light keepers in order to get them to never recognize that they were born with a halo. Yes. And so the way that your halo, it's almost like they just want to make your halo dirty. They can't take it from you. They can't necessarily dim it, but you can, right? And so if the projections are so strong, if the judgment, if the imprisonment, if the feeling of abandonment, not having adequate physical care, not having love and touch, and, going without, being orphaned, not being cared for or taken apart, not having that experience is what causes you to dim your light, to not see the value in what you are. Typically, we consider children to be gifts from heaven, right? God says that children have an immeasurable worth, right? Children are the offspring, but the reward of the Most High. And so if that is known, then ghost plants are looking. They are looking for children with halos. They are looking for children with gifts of the Most High. And the ghost plant wants to take the godly gifts of children with halos and swap them out. So this is essentially taking all of your fruits of the Spirit, turning it into material wealth and physical assets, and leaving you with the fruits of the flesh, where you're stuck and you're trapped in your low vibrational being and you cannot get out of the root chakra. Because you don't know if you're safe, you don't know if you're secure, you don't know if your foundation is going to be consistent, you don't know if your relationships are feeding off of you in a parasitic way, right? And so it starts in childhood, the systematic breakdown of the children with halos, the light keepers, right? And so once orphaned, the rest of your life is really about you finding your halo, discovering that everything you endured, it was because you were different. It was because you were unique, you were special, you were set apart. There's no shame, regret, or remorse in existing as you. The greatest trick is to convince you that you are less than, that you lack value, that you have no ability or no gift that can be an asset to anybody in this world. And so the goal is to make a disciple believe that they are not a disciple. And it starts in childhood through the judgment, through the abandonment, through the neglect. You have a history of loss. To be orphaned, to be neglected and abandonment, you become very comfortable with loss. But the thing about loss is that we have a history, but we are not our history. Okay? And so to be this light keeper, to have this halo, at some point, you have to understand that it is safe to be you. It is comfortable to be you. And when you are truly, authentically, genuinely you, you will attract and maintain great wealth because you are moving in the essence of your halo. Your halo requires you to be in two worlds at the same time. That is the requirement of your discipleship. When your halo is dimmed or dirtied, the idea is to pull you out of the spiritual world so that you cannot benefit from the gifts that you were born with, right? And so listen, the parasites feed on the fungus. What would fungus be? Fungus is anything that is attached to your energetic field that is low vibrational, anything that attracts the ghost plants, anything that attracts the bottom feeders, or those that live in the dark, those that don't carry light, those that don't carry the frequency where they can just manifest, where they can literally snatch things from one world to the next. Those people that don't have that ability, those that don't have the halo. They're not the light keeper. They're not the chosen. Those are the ghost plants. And the only way the ghost plant can feed off of you is if you energetically are dark enough. If you energetically are low enough. Imagine that your aura begins to grow a fungus. When a ghost plant vibrationally and energetically picks up that fungus, now they're attracted to you. They feed on you. right? Those are energetic attachments. Those are dark entities. But you got the dark entity because in your childhood you started to grow parasites. Imagine that parasites are psychic attacks. They're negative thoughts, they're negative feelings, but these are all the projections that were sent towards you by either your biological family or the family that took you in as an orphan. But the projections that you deal with are supposed to create the parasites. As you grow, the parasite grows. As the parasite grows, maybe your halo becomes dim. Dim to you, but not dim to the ghost plants. And so the ghost plants are looking for light keepers with fungus. Fungus are negative thoughts, negative behaviors, negative actions. It is all the things that were done to you as a child. But sometimes even when you go on to leave your family, even when you go on to leave the people that persecuted, imprisoned, and rejected you, you too mentally are going to keep those same narratives true about yourself. Their goal is to literally make the projection so strong that that is the only identity you carry for the rest of your life. Never, ever, never learn, recognize, or discover that you have a halo. Because when you realize that you have a halo, you will work consistently and diligently to remove the fungus, to develop yourself so that the fungus falls away. When you no longer carry a fungus, you are no longer food for the ghost plants. Ghost plants steal the nutrients. They steal the divinity, the divine access, the gifts, the inheritance. The way your fortune is reversed is because ghost plants are parasitically feeding on your light energy. Yes? Stealing, reversing your fortune. When you wake up to understand who and what you are, the ghost plant's timeline of being able to steal from you, it starts to dwindle. There's an expiration date for them now. And so listen, let me tell you, there are so many ghost plants around you. I feel like 2020 to this present day, listen, for the past 5 years, you've been uprooting ghost plants. You've been finding them. You've been locating them. You've been finding all the ways in which you have been good food. You've been finding all the ways that people have been coming to you because you carry a specific nutrient that they needed. You carried something that they couldn't create, they couldn't generate. They can't do it on their own. And so they're looking for the light keepers with the halos. And if you carry parasites, well, then the ghost plants are going to attach to you. They will feed off of you. And so in order to lessen, or completely remove the parasite vibrationally, you have to ascend past the projections that you believed about yourself that started in childhood, right? And so this is literally what divine or disciples must do. At some point, you have to learn to find your own value before you can fully walk in your discipleship. Because the value that you were given, the value that you were assigned is never going to match the strength or the reality of your halo. And that is the point, that is the hack, that is the system. You can be in your own biological family, or you could have been separate from your family, but the programming is still the same. If you are a light keeper with a halo, you are to be dimmed. You are to grow parasites. You are to be food for the ghost plants. And the ghost, let's just talk about the fact that it's called a ghost plant, because you don't see it. And I think that when the ghost plants start to grow on the fungus, or attach themselves to the fungus on the roots of trees, when it starts to grow, it's almost translucent. It's a little bit white, And so the idea is that you can live your entire life with entities and energetic attachments and not even know it. It's like a ghost. You don't even know it's there. You don't even know it's there. And so I understand that 2025 is really, at this point, we should all have discovered our ghost plants. We should all have located the parasites that have allowed the ghost plants to feed on us in order to reverse our fortune. In order to restore your fortune, It is removing the parasites. When the parasites are gone, aka your vibration has raised, you've healed, you've dealt with the wounds and the darkness of the imprisonment and the judgment, right? And the persecution of your childhood and just your early life. When you can finally rectify what you endured, then it is time to understand, damn, I went through all of that because I had a halo. I went through all of that because I'm a disciple for the Most High and I'm supposed to do great works here because I'm supposed to serve, right? When you recognize that your persecution was really attached to your fortune, it was because of your greatness that you were persecuted. It wasn't because you had no value or you had no purpose or you had no meaning. You were persecuted because you did have a significant purpose or a significant role. That is like the greatest hack. This is the greatest trick for light keepers. For you to think that you have no light. And everybody around you that has lights, they're just ghost plants that are eating your light. Making you feel bad that you don't have it. You not even knowing that they got it because they ate it off of you. Right? And so these are the projections. When people start to project, this is how I saw it. Imagine, listen. When the Most High sends us here, we all get movie scripts. Everybody doesn't have a blockbuster. Everybody's not going to have a hit movie, right? Meaning the contract of your life. Everybody is not going to have a hit movie, right? And maybe your last life you had a hit movie, but this one, no. Somebody else next to you is going to be the star in this life. And so imagine that these ghost plants, these parasites, they have scripts that they don't like. They don't like the movie that the Most High gave them to run in this life. And so they are going to project onto you and tell you how awful your script is. Oh, what a terrible movie. Oh, don't show that. Nobody wants to come watch that, right? And you're $1 million hit. But they will project and project and project to the point where you put down your script. You put down your frequency, your vibrations. You put down your worth. You put down your value. You put down your entire script. Because you believed everything they told you about how awful the movie was that you were trying to produce. And when they can get you to carry their projection and put down your script, they essentially pick up your script and now your fortune is reversed. Because somebody is walking around producing your movie. Yes? There are a lot of people with bad scripts. And when they recognize you have a halo, all they want to do is get you to just give me your movie. How come I didn't get to produce something so great? Why can't, right? As a little child, it is already known whether you're going to be a star, whether or not you're going to have a big show or a big play. Disciples will be seen. You can't hide halos. Disciples will be seen, sensed, and found, right? And so for the beginning part of our life, I really think that we put down our own movie script and we've picked up all these scripts that people have projected on us, not knowing that as long as we carry the projection and believe it to be true, somebody else is walking around in our energy. Somebody else is walking around saying our lines, wearing our clothes, all on our sets, right? Like that is, they have switched the movie. And the movie, it is a mental movie because everything is the mind. The movie is really in your mind. And so if you can believe that the Most High gave you a script other than the one you truly got, then you were going to run that. You were going to run that. And that is the trick. When we're talking about shadow work, you are really finding all the ways that you have been tricked. The people that are going to trick you first and foremost are going to be your family, whether they were family by way of adoption or biologically your family. Everybody in your family don't have a halo. Everybody doesn't have a discipleship attached to their movie or their script. Everybody doesn't have fortune. Everybody doesn't have divine fortune and divine gifts, and everybody don't got it. And so to take your script, to feed off of your light, that is what allows ghost plants essentially to thrive. But when you heal, when you realize the trick is the trick, your fungus begins to lessen, which makes you less palatable for the ghost plants, for the family members, for the bottom feeding boyfriends, for the bottom feeding girlfriends. All of a sudden, you just don't taste the same because you ain't got enough fungus on you anymore. When you no longer taste the same, this is your elevation, this is your expansion, this is your consciousness, this is your awakening. excuse me. One of the ways, there's something else I want to say. When I talked about trading fruits, right? So I want to trade you the fruit of a devil, and I'm going to take the fruit of a God. Literally, the fruits of the Spirit. To be born with the halo is to be born with all 9 fruits. And in your walk as a child, the offenses that you go through, meaning the attacks, the conditions of your childhood, are supposed to create offenses in you: hatred, envy, blame, deception. They are supposed to create offenses in you that are so strong that you dim your own halo. So how do you dim your halo? By carrying offenses, by carrying all the things that people did to you. As long as you carry that, your halo is dim. When you start to drop the offenses, when you start to drop the energies that people deposited into you, the strength of your halo increases. Right? And so when the light keeper finally can create the happy connections, when they can open and they can begin to receive, when they allow the solutions to just come to them freely, when they recognize who they are and what they are, y'all, there's a shift. And here's the thing. A lot of times, to be a light keeper, it doesn't mean that, listen, you will still be controlled, right? But here it is. Those who control you, they can't get the light out of you. They can't get the codes to the halo out of you. What makes you you, nobody can ever take. They can distort if you believe it, but they can never take what you have. And the way that they distort your halo, the way that they get you to pick up a movie script, or the way that they get you to carry their fruits of the flesh as opposed to your fruits of the Spirit, is through psychological attacks. And so when we're talking about people who attempt to control you, this is anybody that exerts power over your choices and over your actions. But how do they exert power over your choices and actions? Through manipulation, psychological attacks, emotional influence, right? Without directly taking any physical possessions or money from you, they still can control your behavior without having your assets. And that is when those mental projections are so strong. That is why the judgment, the imprisonment, the persecution, the loss, the trauma as a child or the trauma as a baby, that is why it is so important to wound the halo or to wound the light keeper in their childhood, because it allows them to be controlled for the rest of their narrative, for the rest of their life. Somebody else just wants to direct your own movie. But the people that are directing your movie can't take your light, don't have light, they're not qualified. They're not qualified. But if you believe what they have told you about you, well, then you have qualified them to control you, even though they don't carry the shit you got, even though they could never. But to believe what they've said about you is to qualify them to control you. Even though they don't have your power, they don't have your potential. They just don't have what you have. But if they can possess your mind and make you feel that you are less than what you are, it really is what sets them up for success. If they can control your mind and convince you that you are less, you will grow a fungus. When you grow the fungus, the ghost plants will attract and stick to you and energetically feed off of you, right? And so to be a light one with a halo, you are going to be raised in their image. When I say their image, I mean the people around you that are not divine. They are never going to raise you in your divinity. They're never going to tell you how gifted and how amazing and how beautiful you are inside. They will never, ever tell you you have a halo. Because if they told you, they couldn't feed. If they told you, you wouldn't have fungus. Right? And so they raise you in their image, not in God's. And they see the value of the halo on you, but they don't see the halo on them. Right? And so listen, the matrix supports ghost plants. The matrix is built for ghost plants to thrive. The matrix is literally meant to seek out those that have born with a halo and to siphon and to steal and to harvest energetically. This is a systematic program that begins in infancy. And it is supposed to happen for your entire life. They take your fear, they take your grief, they take your depression, they take your despair, they take your powerlessness, and they feed on it again and again and again. But when you take your fear and you turn it to joy, you lose you lose some fungus. When you take your grief and you turn it to knowing, you lose a little bit of fungus. When you take the depression and you turn it to empowerment, you lose a little bit of fungus. Your despair to freedom, you lose fungus. When your powerlessness becomes love, love meaning you were never detached from source. You've always had everything you need in every moment, right? When you call all your shit back, they can't feed. Getting you to a state of strength, courage, and confidence to call your stuff back is the goal of your discipleship. To truly accept this position, you got to call your stuff back first. You can't carry anybody else's you can't carry anybody else's belief or projection about you. You have to know who you are. You have to know what you are. You have to know why you're here. You have to know. You have to know you so strong that nobody else can project a different movie, a different reality, or a different show. Nobody else can get you to take off your halo, dim your halo. Nobody should be able to reach inside of your life and change it, distort it, shift it. Nobody should be able to do that. But if you were groomed since childhood to allow that, or if you were groomed to believe that that is normal, then you won't know what's happening. You won't know that those were a whole bunch of ghost plants that just wanted to control you so that they could feed off of you, so that they continue to steal your nutrients. Right? The ghost plant don't want to be found out, but the ghost plant doesn't want you to also know that you have fungus that they've been living off of. I love y'all, and this is our reading. This is our reading. And so listen, to start your discipleship, to really begin your walk, you have to love and accept yourself just as you are. That is how your halo. That is how you activate your halo. Love and acceptance of self as you are. Like if you look at yourself right now, you would have to be at peace with what you're wearing, what you're looking like, your education, the money in your pocket, the relationship. Like you would have to be at peace and content with everything as it is. You have to accept it. And a lot of times you can say it with your mouth, but the universe can't be lied to. Energetically, you need to feel joy and acceptance to exist as you. If you never had anything different, if life never improved, like, can you find peace in your existence? Can you find peace in your essence? All right, y'all, for real now. I love y'all. I'll talk to you later. Bye.